Senator Reese moves for suspension for the purpose of advancing to House Bill 10, taking it out of order.
Without objection.
House Bill 10 by Representative Wright is an act to amend Titles 12, 22, 33, and 47, Title 40, all relative, and 51, relative to sales and use taxes to provide for the rate of sales and use tax exclusions, exemptions, credits, and rebates.
Senator Reese.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members. Today I bring you Representative Wright's House Bill 10. House Bill 10 reorganizes and consolidates the sales tax law. It removes many unnecessary and unused sales tax exemptions. It provides assistance to farmers, and it reestablishes more exclusions as exemptions, again, cleaning up our sales tax code in Louisiana. Mr. President, we do have a set of amendments I'd like to take up at this time.
On your amendments.
Senator Reese sends up a set of amendments. They are set number 196. 196.
On your amendments.
All right, members, on these amendments are fairly substantial. These amendments remove House Bill 8. So in committee, we had joined the digital goods bill into House Bill 10. This removes that. The digital goods bill will be presented to you later as a standalone instrument. What this bill does is puts House Bill 1 into House Bill 10, and I'm going to discuss with you very briefly the other changes it does to House Bill 10, and then I would ask Chairman Foyle to join me and discuss how we incorporate House Bill 1 into House Bill 10. So in terms of the changes to House Bill 10, this retains certain sales of services and provides changes to definitions. These are services that were already taxable in the sales tax code in Louisiana. These have nothing to do with the services that were debated but ultimately not passed out of the House. And that deals with the furnishing of sleeping rooms, the furnishing of admissions, the parking or storage of motor vehicles, printing and copying, laundry or cleaning services, furnishing of cold storage, repair and maintenance of tangible personal property, and telecommunications currently subject to state and local sales tax. So it addresses that, it moves that, it expands some of their definitions, but it does not incorporate any new taxes and no new taxes on services that were not previously taxable. It adds specific sourcing provisions for political subdivisions to determine where appropriate local sales tax should be remitted. It moves sales tax exemptions from the repealed category to the retained category based on input from members. It levies an additional 5% state sales tax on certain telecommunications services and dedicates the revenue of to the local revenue fund that we previously discussed. It retains the 0.45% sales tax that was in revised statute 321.1. Then the revised statute 47.321.1 imposes an additional 0.55% beginning January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2029. The sales tax rate will be 5% beginning January 1, 2025, the state sales tax rate. The 0.55 will sunset on December the 31st, 2029, and beginning January 1, 2030, the sales tax rate levied in revised statute 47.321.1 will be reduced to 0.75 for a total sales tax rate of 4.75 beginning January 1 of 2030. So those are the portions of this set of amendments that impact what was previously House Bill 10's language, and then I would ask Chairman Foyle to please come and present to you how we combine House Bill 1 into House Bill 10.
Senator Foyle for the floor on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Reese, for working with me on this bill. So I was going to handle HB1, but we've decided to amend HB1 into this bill. So let me tell you what HB1 does. First, it reduces your income tax for everyone in the state to a flat rate of 3%. Right now, we have a three-tiered system. Everyone would be at 3%. It increases the standard deduction for a single person from $4,500 to $12,500. So a married couple would not pay any income taxes on their first $25,000 of taxable income. It also doubles the retirement exemption for retirees. Right now it's $6,000. There are a lot of retirement pensions that are not taxed, but if you're worked for a private employer and your retirement is taxed, you would now get an exemption of $12,000 on that retirement income. We also put back in committee some tax credit programs that we're going to sunset on June 30th of next year. So we brought back the film tax credit. We did lower the cap on the film tax credit from $175,000 to $125,000, and we just kept the existing sunset date that was on that program. Same for the historic tax credit. We reduced that cap from $125,000. It wasn't $125,000. It was $125 million on the film, from $175 million to $125 million. Historic tax credit, we're reducing that from $125 million to $85 million. It also has a sunset. We're just keeping that existing sunset in place with a reduction with the cap on that program. We're also keeping the R&D tax credit program. It did not have a cap under the law, so we were actually putting a cap on that program of $12 million. Finally, and some of this is going to be also in HB2, which is the corporate tax, but we're also putting in some provisions to keep the inventory tax credit for individuals and pass-throughs. That will stay on, no sunset of that. If it's a C corporation, that will actually sunset on 7/1/2026. And that's what the amendments do. I'm happy to answer any questions along with Senator Reese.
So, members, if you had originally had questions, Senator Foyle has the floor. If you have any original questions on House Bill 1, you would ask them now to Senator Foyle. When he relinquishes the mic, then you'll ask questions on Senate Bill 10. Senator Wheat, your question is on 1? Okay. Senator Wheat for a question.
Oh, thank you very much, Senator Foyle. I appreciate your hard work on not only this bill, but on the whole package of the bills that we were presented. You know, when we came to Baton Rouge a couple of weeks, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, our goal was to look at have a long conversation over our tax package has been long overdue. And, you know, I think we've done a pretty good job of that. And, you know, it's going to hopefully put our citizens in a better place that we've revised their tax rates down. I think we've accomplished that in this bill and put them in a better place. But not only that, it puts the state of Louisiana in a better competitive state with the states around us. Can you explain to me how affecting our income tax rates allows us to be in a better space to be competitive with our surrounding states?
Certainly. Thank you, Senator Wheat, for that question. I think HB1 is probably the most important piece of this package, along with the constitutional amendment, because if you look around at the other southern states around us, they're all reducing income tax, in some cases to no income tax. We felt it was a responsible way to handle it this session is let's reduce it to a flat rate of 3%. So we're doing what other states around us are doing instead of being an outlier. You know, as you know, we've been losing population. Most of the other states are not. So we're on the same trajectory as the other states around us to be competitive.
Well, look, again, thank you for that hard work. And I'd just like to say thank you to not only this, but our House members on the other side, our Senate members here. That we put in a lot of work this couple weeks. And I think we've got a good spot to help our citizens. Giving money back to them in their pockets to where they can use it and spend it according to the way they desire with their income and their hard-earned dollars is a good thing that we're doing for our people.
I appreciate the question, Senator Wheat. Thank you.
Senator Cloud on the amendment, we'll say. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Senator.
Along the same lines, other states that we know that are implementing income tax, they're dropping it or abolishing it altogether. We know Louisiana's been losing population. Have we seen like statistical data with these other states who are making the moves that we're attempting to make and that the governor and many legislators are wanting to do? Have we seen an increase in their population growth?
Absolutely. If you look around the South, Tennessee, Texas, and Florida have no income tax. Those states are all growing in population. You look at some of our neighboring states like Alabama, which is lowering their income tax. They're growing in population. Arkansas, the same thing. So I think being in line with the other states, we've seen the data that it works. I think this is a good thing for all of our citizens.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'm aware. I think Louisiana's population growth has decreased by 2%.
It has, and since I've been in the legislature, we've lost one congressional district, and we're potentially close to losing another one if we don't change the way we're doing business. So I think this helps right the ship, hopefully.
Okay. And they're probably going over to some of these states that have more competitive tax structures and income tax, lower income tax.
No, absolutely. We want to get people here, and really an important part of this piece that I can't emphasize enough is helping retirees. We raised the exemption in HB1. There's another bill where we actually raised their standard deduction as well. We want retirees to not only stay here, but come to our state.
Yeah, I have friends that retired in Florida because of this very issue, so maybe they'll come back.
Thank you, Senator Cloud.
Senator Miguez for a question.
Chairman Falls, so for the public, this is going to reduce the personal income tax rate down to 3%.
That's correct. It will reduce it to a flat rate. Now we have a three-tiered system. The highest rate, I want to say, is 4.25 now because we did lower taxes, the higher rate, not too long ago. But this will bring it down to 3%, so everyone who pays taxes will pay less taxes.
Yes, and it's important to point out that we're in a bracketed system now, so there's some individuals that pay 1.7%. So tell me, how are they going to get a tax reduction in what y'all doing with deductions?
Yeah, we were very conscientious. We wanted everyone to get a tax break with this bill, and so we are increasing the standard deduction. Right now, it's $4,500 per person, $9,000 for a married couple. We're upping that to $12,500 per person, or $25,000 per married couple. So with that standard deduction, a married couple would not pay on the first $25,000 of income tax. So if the rate goes below 3.5, those people will pay no more in income taxes and potentially will save some money.
Our elderly community, tell me about retirees. Did they get some extra benefit out of the deductions in the bill?
They do. There are two different bills that address that. So HB1 deals with the exemption for retirees. Right now, there are a lot of retirement if you work for government where you don't have to pay taxes. But if you work in the private industry, you're more likely than not have to pay taxes on that retirement. And these people are on a fixed income. And so right now under law, the first $6,000 per person they would not have to pay. We're going to double that to $12,000 per person. There's also another provision in this package where we take that standard deduction, which we're raising for individuals now to $12,500. If you're 65 or older, it'd be $25,000. So you're looking at $50,000 for a married couple, and then you put the exemption in, you're getting over $60,000.
So it's accurate to say that everyone in the state of Louisiana, most people, will get a personal income tax reduction with the passage of this legislation?
That's right. That's the goal. Anyone who pays income taxes, we expect to get a reduction in their income taxes, whether you're a retiree or someone just your first job.
Now, there are many people back home wondering, what's the benefits of a flat tax, like we've seen with other states? Tell us how competitive Louisiana will be with a flat tax.
It's a simpler system, and it's been pushed for many years by different economists, and it's something that we see being done in other states. And when you look at these groups like the Tax Foundation, that helps your rankings. Right now we're like 40, and it's not just income tax, it's everything, but it helps us get a better ranking. And you may ask, why do I care what the Tax Foundation cares about? Well, when businesses are looking to locate in a state, that's a factor. So it's good for us to try to increase our ratings when these national groups look at how we tax our citizens.
So when the governor first opened up the session, his goals were to modernize Louisiana's tax code and to make it more competitive. The way you are structuring this new personal income tax, do you think those goals are accomplished?
I do, because this is what all the states around us are doing, And instead of being an outlier, we are doing what they're doing now, and we will actually be lowering our income taxes. We won't be at the lowest because there's some states that are zero, and maybe someday we will get there. Some of us would like to see that happen. But we're trying to be responsible by at least starting right now going down to 3% flat rate.
That's a very important part that you bring up. So we know that Florida and Texas have a 0% personal income tax. They don't have a personal income tax. Now, today, we're not going to be removing and making a zero income tax, right?
No, we're not today. We're going to go to 3, but it's something that we can continue to have discussions about. And I think there are people in this body, you may be one of them, that would like to see us get there.
So the message that we're sending to the public today is we're taking a large stride in the right direction on eventually, hopefully, if our tax code becomes more competitive and our economy produces more prosperity in the future, that we will maybe be in a position in the future to potentially eliminate the personal income tax. This would be the first step in that process?
It is, and I think the governor would probably like to see us get there as well. I think he recognized that we need to, let's be careful as we go through this process to make sure that we have everything covered. One of the things I've learned chairing my committee and looking at this whole package of bills is you have a lot of different interests you have to balance, including state government, local government, businesses, and of course our constituents. And so I think this is a very responsible approach is how we're proceeding with this.
So previously, when the bill passed in the House, and we're debating HB 10, they had a sales tax bill and they also had a personal income tax deduction bill. Now these bills are being combined in this amendment. So when you put these two bills together, in general terms, is this now a revenue neutral instrument?
Yes. In fact, these are rough numbers, but I believe the reduction in income tax is going to be a $1.3 billion reduction of money we're asking the citizens to pay to our state. The sales tax offset will be several $100 million, but it will be below I believe, the number.
In general terms, I mean, this thing fluctuates over a 5-year period. Would you accurate to say that this is basically within discretion, revenue neutral?
Yeah, absolutely. I do.
Well, I appreciate.
I would bring in the bill if I didn't feel otherwise.
So the main goal of this bill is to reduce personal income tax to 3% and give everyone across this state a personal income tax reduction and see a cost savings at the end of the day to their families.
That's right, and you make it easier by doing a flat rate and getting rid of some of these exemptions so everyone gets the benefit of the tax break.
Well, thank you for all your work on the bill, and I appreciate you answering my questions today.
Thank you, Senator Miguez.
Senator Boudreau, do you want the final package at the end when all this done? Gotcha. Okay. Senator, I see no more questions on the amendment. Is there any objection to the adoption of the amendment? Seeing no objection, amendment is adopted. Now back on Senate Bill 10. If anybody has questions, now we'll focus on Senate Bill 10.
I have another amendment.
Okay, that amendment's done. Next amendment.
Amendments by Senator Reese, set number 198, 198.
On your amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a simple amendment. In what, some of the things that we wanted to get accomplished this session, we weren't ultimately able to get to with the entire package, but I think that we still have the desire to ultimately get to these things that would help unify our sales tax base and save our citizens more money. And one of those is the sales tax on prescription drugs at the local level. So one of the things this amendment does is requires that our local collectors, beginning in January 1 of 2025, have a separate line item to track their sales on prescription drugs. This will give us, by the end of 2025, a more accurate number of exactly what that value is at the local level, so we can work with our local tax partners and our local government partners to see if we can figure out a way to ultimately eliminate that local sales tax on pharmaceuticals. This is just a reporting requirement that will give us that information. And similar to that, this would require a separate line item for sales on manufacturing machinery and equipment so that we can start addressing that as we move forward as well. I see no questions. I'd move adoption of the amendment, Mr. President.
Senator Miguez for a question on
Amendment.
You can do it now. Senator Miguez.
Thanks so much, Mr. President. Senator Reese, this is on your original presentation of the bill. You talked about a number of items, I think they're originally maybe on page 68, that dealt with a number of services that were being clarified in the bill. As you know, during this session, there was a bill brought up, I think it was HB 9,
yes, sir.
that expanded a number of services across the state, dealt with things like maybe grass cutting, car washer services, a lot of things that the everyday worker in my district, it would affect their daily business activities. That bill did not make passage in the House of Representatives. And it drew a lot of concerns and a lot of discussions back on, which I think those discussions will be furthered in the future. Is any part of that bill in that listing there, that in that section that you're clarifying? Tell me, I guess my question is are those items already being taxed currently and we're just clarifying them?
Yeah, we're only clarifying the definitions of the portion of services that are currently being taxed. This bill will not include any of the 40 additional services that were contemplated in HB 9, but not ultimately adopted.
And I'm guessing currently what's in the bill, which is currently being taxed, that's being through an interpretation from the department, maybe on some revenue bulletin or something like that?
Yeah, it was the department's opportunity as we reorganized and modernized our entire sales tax code. This was an opportunity to make sure those definitions were tighter and more accurate, and that's all that does.
So again, we are not expanding into any new sales tax services for the folks listening back home.
That's correct.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Miguez.
Okay, members, we're going to hold off for 1 second. Senator Foyle is catching one more amendment as we speak. Almost there.
We adopted 198?
Are there any objections to this amendment? Seeing no objection, amendment is adopted. Next amendment, Senator Foyle, why don't you, can Senator Foyle will come down and explain the amendment real quick.
We hope to have the amendment in just a second. This is something that LDR pointed out to us. It's really a technical correction to the title, dealing with a Jazz Fest exemption, but it's really to make the title work. But I'll show you, as soon as we have the amendment, you can look at it, but I believe it's technical in nature. That's what I've been told by the department. This is what happens when you don't see the amendment first. I've been told actually it deals with charitable and religious organizations, but the way it's been explained to me by staff, this is something we need to put in to make the title work for the bill. So I hope to have it up for you in just a minute. I know that's.
Senator Foyle, on your amendment. I'm sorry, Yolanda.
Amendments sent up by Senator Foyle, they are set number 199, 199.
Okay, members, these are the amendments I was talking about earlier, and basically what they do is they delete certain sections in the bill to make the title consistent. I've been told these are technical amendments. The Department of Revenue just caught this and asked me to introduce these amendments.
Are there any questions on, any objection to the adoption of the amendment? Seeing no objection, amendment is adopted. Back on the bill. Any more amendments?
No further amendments.
No further amendments. Senator Boudreau for the floor on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise just to point out a few things. I rise in support of these. Our preference was to have them separate, but as Yogi Berra said, you win a few, you lose a few, and a few get rained out. They're together. We're here to work to make a change that will positively impact this state. Now, is the document perfect? No. I think it's the first step in a process. But I want to say is that when this bill got to the Senate, and what we're sending back are two different instruments as it relates to the people that we represent. I say that based on the fact that there was some talk about we were increasing taxes on the poor at the cost of helping businesses. Through the deliberations of the presidents and the chairman of the Revenue and Fisc and Finance Committees, we were able and successful to restore those tax credits to the film and movie, to the historic tax. You all got the same calls that we receive when it comes to inventory tax and the impact it has on local government and how we make those adjustments. You've heard from the co-ops, you've heard from the prescription drug money that the locals have been able to tax. All of those changes represents what's best for the state. And they're now in a document that was not previously there. The temporary tax for 5 years gives the state the opportunity to look into the forecast and to see how we can continue to make additional adjustments. So we're talking about 5 years of fiscal responsibility that will allow us to continue to serve all the residents of this state. And that's our seniors, as well as those who are poor, who count on the state to provide valuable programs and services to everyone. The exemptions allow, again, every member of this state to have an opportunity to contribute in a positive way. Now, I want to close by saying this is the beginning and not the end. I want to say that I am appreciative to this body for being receptive. You know, when you have the votes, you can just do it. But for the listening ear, for the passion, for the compassion, rather, to make sure that we're serving all of our citizens is what this democracy is supposed to represent. This inclusion is what I'm proud to be a part of. Every time something was submitted, we just had another amendment to clarify so that we can get this right. It brings comfort. There are people back home, when we left home, saying we don't want to pay any more taxes. We're tired of it. And I'll be blunt and say they're tired of the poor having to sacrifice more. This document, this package, represents the first opportunity for us to demonstrate that we're a democracy and that we are going to take in the interests of all of our citizens. When, at the end of the day, when we evaluate where we are today with this document and where we were 3 weeks ago, I stand in support. Because had we not included the exemptions, had we not taken in all of the things that impact local government, we were on a collision course. And nobody wants the tough votes. I started off by saying it was 2 separate votes. We combined it into one. Nobody wants to take it's hard because you can't convince people. But I'll say again, this is the first step of where we're going. I'm proud to say that we have listened. And for those who are out there, read the document before you start to not understand what has been incorporated into this. We don't want to have to deal with this every year in every session. I appreciate where we are today. I appreciate the inclusion. I appreciate the listening ear. Together, there is strength in numbers. Together, we can get so much more done. It's not about Democrats or Republicans or independents. It's about what's best for all of our people. This is the first bite. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Reese to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members, and Senator Boudreaux for your remarks. Members, this is the first bill we take up in this special session to reform our tax structure in Louisiana, to put more money back in the pockets of our citizens, and to structurally change our tax policy and our sales tax policy to set our state up for success in the future. And success for me in the future will look like continuing to lower our income tax rate, continuing to put more money in the pockets of our citizens, continuing to grow our economy so that every citizen has an opportunity to perform well in this state, be successful in this state. And to those citizens that have left this state, we are going to set this economy up, and we're going to set a tax structure up that will invite you back to our state to help us continue to grow and to continue to be successful. And so I thank all of our colleagues who have worked very, very hard on very difficult subject matter represented in this bill to create the second lowest income tax rate in the country among the states that collect an income tax. We are setting our state up for success. We're going to deliver the people that live here today. We're going to invite people back home. We're going to grow our economy together with the rest of the bills that will be presented today in this package. I thank you for your time and your patience and the work of our staff in this bill and others, for Chairwoman Emerson and for Representative Wright and the work that's represented in these two instruments as well. And with that, Mr. President, I move final passage.
Senator Reese moves final passage of House Bill 10. When the machines are open, all those in favor vote yes. Those opposed vote no. Madam Secretary, open the machines. Senator Talbot, yes. Vote your machine, members. Vote your machine. Madam Secretary, I'm a yes. There we go. We're good? There we go. Madam Secretary, close the machine. 38 yeas and 1 nay, and the bill is finally passed. Senator Reese moves to reconsider the bill passed. I lay the motion on the table without objection.